Hi there, it's Andrea and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're gonna be reviewing two movies, which are Nosferatu from 1922 and Nosferatu from 1979. Why am I reviewing this? Well, mostly because they're in my book club this month, and actually Dracula is in a book club this month, and these two movies kind of follow up on a theme. It's gonna be divided into two parts. I will be doing the original first, followed by the second part. Shall I begin? By the way, thanks for coming and watching. A subscribe, follow in the works. I'll start with the original version from 1922, Nosferatu. Now, sadly, my German is utterly terrible, so I will not be pronouncing the name of the rest of the movie. It's kind of I will be butchering the legend, so no, let's just call it 1922 Nosferatu. Now, there's a background story to this. So first of all, Bram Stoker, when he wrote Dracula, it stood on the shelf for years before anyone even took notice of it. It wasn't an instant hit. It was different, it was strange, it was new, so given the times, it was expected not to be a great hit. However, there is a film studio, a silent film, short-lived though, a German studio called, just a second, Piranha Film, where they saw potential in that book and wanted to make a movie about it. So the owner of that movie studio approached the Stokers, asking for movie rights. It was refused for whatever reason it was, so he wasn't unable to use the actual story of Dracula. However, he came to this genius idea of just taking the story, twisting it a little bit around, change the names, and you're good. You're not hurting anyone's copyright. Luckily, Stoker's widow found out and sued the studio, causing it to bankrupt and leave Nosferatu as the only movie they will ever make. Legendary as it is, it caused them to bankrupt. But when you look at it, Dracula made Nosferatu just as Nosferatu made Dracula famous. So two have entwined stories. Not to mention that without popularity of one, the popularity of other wouldn't be the same. And one very important thing that, at least that's my point of view, that original book of Dracula by Bram Stoker caused two vampires in existence, two types of vampires. Whereas the book one kind of has this gentleman, this romanticized vampire type. The Nosferatu is a bit darker and closer to what a vampire can actually. It's kind of, I kind of look at it as a Nosferatu is a type of vampire that's brutal, cold. He seeks only blood, but you can see that mostly from the movie. So, and I do strongly suggest that you do check out both of them. There is a reference that can be pulled to today's times for those who watched the movie, understand what I'm talking about. Whereas you can compare the plague, which is essentially in the book as a consequence of vampires being around, into what's happening today. Not in terms that the vampire caused the plague, we are not superficial animals, but in terms of what happens to the society when something as grave as this happens. In terms of showing the consequences of that, I think the 1979 version is a bit closer to the whole truth, but I will try to keep this spoiler free so you can watch the movie yourself, make your own decisions on it. Back to the story. Like I mentioned, it was made by Piranha Film. it was again owned by Albin Grau, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. It was inspired by an actual interesting story from my point of view. The owner of that studio had this war experience, let's just say. So he traveled to Serbia and he talked to a farmer who told him that his father was a vampire and one of the undead, where a spark hit his mind and an idea to perhaps make a vampire movie. Now, why am I pointing this out? Not because it's some kind of incredible, interesting fact. Perhaps not in the terms of where world stands. This is more of a criticism to my own region and the region of countries that I'm surrounded with. I am not from Serbia, I am from Croatia, but it is generally in terms of history and lore and a whole bunch of other things, we are, I would say, similar. Not that different from one another. Differences are alike, but again, people from Zagreb are not exactly the same people like you can see in Istria. And again, it's the same country, so we are all essentially the same here. Thing that bothers me about that said fact is that this entire region, the Balkans, has this wonderful and rich and abundant folklore myth, folklore legends, vampire-based legends, vampire-based themes. We are rich and abundant in it, yet the entire region seems to be hiding behind some curtain of I don't know what. I can't even call this purity or something, but every time in these regions you mention the vampire, regardless of our rich folklore and myth history, it's kind of like you're mentioning the boogeyman. And that's something that bothers me when, historically looking, this entire region inspired one of the greatest rises of the undead. And again, undead, literally, or movie, or famously undead, into the world. It's an idea that I've been fighting with for a while now, and it just bothers me, so I just wanted to slip that in. It's kind of a thing that hits a nerve. Now, to get back to the facts of the original movie, inspired by, as it was inspired, the script for original Nosferatu was only 12 pages long. And what I found interesting is another thing that due to cost reasons, it was shot using only one camera. Now, that can pose a lot of problems, yet they found a way around it and made an excellent piece of a classic. Now, when I started watching it, it was pretty hard to get used to the whole, the way it's made, the way the characters have to talk more through the way they're acting. They can't use words, they're silenced. Everything has to come from the acting itself, and it's definitely on point. I am beyond surprised by how much those characters got me drawn into the story. I am beyond in love in the whole thing. It did take a while to get used to it again, but it was simply an experience to enjoy. I kind of felt the characters. I felt how they feel. I felt the fear, the frustration, the determination in their eyes when something happens. I felt it through not a single spoken word. So for whomever wants or dreams about acting, that's the kind of acting you have to pull off before you can speak it to begin with, in my own mind. Now, to get back to the movie a little bit more, In terms of story, it is a fairly good story. Yeah, you can see that it is essentially stolen from Dracula. Some parts were. And it was something that was unavoidable in the whole thing. But in terms of story, it's different than what you can expect from the book, and I do strongly suggest that you do go check it out. It's like a different kind of Dracula. Yeah, go check it out. I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, don't mind. Now to get back to a little bit more to tell you of since I adore sharing knowledge, and I kind of think that since I adore research and learning, I might as well share with you what I found. Regarding the movie premiere, which was a big thing for me because my original one was a kind of similar one. So on the 5th of March, 1922, in the Marble Hall in Berlin Zoological Garden was the preview premiere held, and as guests were required to wear costumes. It was kind of like a trend dance or something. I don't know. I haven't found the exact information exactly, but I will look it up soon because I am getting interested in this. It was planned as a large social event called the Festival of Nosferatu. Now, that is a great idea, and I really do think that we need something like that. As in cinema premiere, it happened on 15th of March in 1922 in Berlin. Now, in terms of characters, who I found most appealing out of all, I'm gonna have to go with the character of Ellen, simply because she's written as, yeah, a strong female character, yet not godlike strong. She has her weaknesses and she works on them, but she's strong, and she kind of won me over on that. So I can safely say that she is my favorite character. Count Orlok is interesting, different, played to perfection. However, I was unable to connect with the character, even though I must say that Max Schreck, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, played the character to perfection. He really did his best, and what he pulls off better than anyone else is the fact that you truly do feel like you're watching a real live Nosferatu, watching his facial expressions, the way he moves, the way he walks, the legendary walk, the shadows, everything is just wow. I mean, if you want to watch a good vampire movie, just go watch Nosferatu from 1922. It's almost 100-year-old movie, yet it stands tall and firm against more than half of vampire movies made today. And I'm not counting just a few years back. It's a 100-year-old movie, and it's simply amazing. So go watch it. It's excellent, and give it a chance. It will win you over, trust me. There are a few things I wrote, just a moment. Now, FYI, the limited edition book is supposed to look something like this. But that's besides the review. Now, there are a few facts I pulled out from this entire movie, both from watching and research, which I found really interesting. First of all, Orlok is never seen blinking throughout the entire movie. Wow. I am shocked, and wow. I kind of figured that when I kind of figured I've never seen his eyes are constantly open, but he never blinks. Not in a single scene do you see him blink. Yeah, since I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but both movies have this plague thing involved as well. So Nosferatu, in original Greek, translates to bringer of disease, which is kind of a twist of everything, and it's just a mind-blowing fact, really. Another funny thing I found is that it was banned in Sweden due to excessive horror until 1972. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie is kind of a scary thing to watch, but excessive horror, I mean, I'm aware we're living in different times, things are very different, but I honestly think that Nosferatu, the original, can be scary and is scary at times, but is definitely not excessive horror, not by what we are used to today. And what's the most important thing that I found about that movie is the fact that it's going to be 100 years old next year. Just think about it. Just give it a moment to sink in. But they sink in, yeah, an over 100 years old movie about a vampire that started it all. So it's not a young theme, it's an old theme, only getting stronger. Kind of like vampires do. You know, as they age, they get stronger, and that's a topic for another video, but I'll see if I'll cut this here or continue on later. Hi there guys, so I'm continuing this review with the movie I actually have at home. Bought ages ago from a video store that was closing down, Nosferatu the Vampire. It's not in the best shape, the box is already old, but hey, it's the movie that counts. It's the movie that counts. Made in 1979, it's a remake of the original 1922 version, which does show in many elements of watching it. What I think that they lost in this remake is the heart and the soul of the original. I'm not saying this is a bad movie or a bad version of it, but if choosing which one, go with the original. Simply because with doing voice, actually, it's not a silent movie, this one actually has voice and they talk, and it's a different kind of movie. They lost in the actors and in what's happening in the movie, that connection and that true feeling that you can feel the dread of the character from his facial expression. Here I kind of feel like the actors don't have the need to put as much in as the ones in the original do, so they kind of lose that tone over there. Other thing is, regardless of the background story and what the director of the first Nosferatu did, is essentially stealing someone's work, I kind of feel that he kind of put a little bit more effort into building a story. He did lose some parts of the story and some parts of, well, essentially what the 1979 version did better is when after the plague hits, the reaction of people to what's happening around them. They're in chaos, they don't know what to do, they're starting to all jointly lose their minds, and it's a pretty interesting story to watch, truly it is. you kind of feel like you're watching some kind of psychology study at certain points of the movie, and you're kind of wondering in your own sanity at times. But that's a good thing. It makes you question your own sanity. It's a great show of human psyche and what happens when put in extreme conditions. All wrapped up in a vampire story. There are few things that I kind of felt missed in in both movies, actually. Remakes not that bad, but again, I don't connect with the character as much. What they missed is, in both movies here, is the fact that unless you've read the book and you know what's happening, certain plot points are going to seem funny, out of place, like like many things. Like you feel like that throughout both versions that you're simply jumping from one thing to another. There is a line connecting the what's happening in a book, in movie. You're simply unaware and missing those tiny fragments of story that put it all together, which is to expect when it's based on a story that's a spin-off of another story, but it's kind of feels lost. I mean, I know the story. I know why the character went to Transylvania. I know why the certain character from the movie loses his mind and what he does following it, and his days in the asylum. And I know why character of Lucy is so important, and her role in this. Yet I feel that even back then, dropping the whole theme was a mistake. Was a mistake in sometimes, but that would require us to put Dracula alongside Nosferatu, where one of the many Dracula films made based on the book, and Nosferatu as a standalone film. That would require us to balance both and see where one does better, where one does not. I am, again, like I said, strongly suggest the original version or the 1922, simply because it's an experience and a chance to kind of see the differences and how the movie as a movie sorry guys, I haven't had my coffee yet, as a movie develops over years, not just in terms of a vampire story, but in terms of acting. That's where both movies actually got me. And there are several excellent quotes from that movies, so I should be posting them on Instagram too. Go check it out. Link. I might as well leave a link in the description of this video for my Instagram so you can follow me. I'll do that. Yeah, that would pretty much be it. I'm not sure how much I can tell you without actually giving you a whole bunch of spoilers to a story that has a little to do with your book and has nothing to do with the book. So, spoiler-free version for now. I might get into a deeper kind of versions later. I will give you spoilers, but just tell me if you would like to hear my opinion on it. Until then, check out the movies and follow this channel. There are great things ahead. And I will see you here soon, guys. Andrea out. Love ya, and take care of yourselves.